We're talking with Chris Duane. Now, Chris, before the break, we were talking about what it might look like. Let's say it's fall, the dollar collapses. Are we looking at riots? Are we looking at martial law?
Yeah.
Are we looking at a breakdown of society? Paint this picture for us.
Yeah. I think that you're going to see the country divided into two separate areas. And I think it's quite easy for people to see that in being in an urban area during an economic collapse where food and fuel can stop getting transported because there is no that there is no currency to exchange, and that all these markets are going to collapse, and most of the jobs are related to some sort of paper shuffling. That this paradigm is going to change, and that urban areas are going to be the absolute worst place to be. I mean, we could look back to Katrina and see how when people have that slave mentality of that input-output disorder, or believe into a paradigm, or in a paradigm where they are relying upon a collective to take care of them, when the collective system ends, they're completely helpless, and that they are going to go through the anger phase, and that the worst in humanity is going to come out in these urban areas. So I strongly recommend people get out of the urban area now. I don't care if you live in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, or in Southern California. I think Southern California is going to be an absolute mess because here you got 20 million people packed into an area that does not have a lot of water, food, huge amount of racial diversity, economic diversity, and unfortunately, when things go bad, people tend to blame each other. We saw from the LA riots. But that's going to burn out. You're going to see, 3, 6 months, a year of, really bad things going on in urban areas. But I think at some point, a collectivist, fascist, 1984 police state type system will dominate those areas. And you can see, a guy like Mike Bloomberg and Rahm Emanuel coming in and, bringing the heavy hand of collectivism down, of a police state down to, to bring order to chaos. And I think what will arise out of that is a lot of these economic, urban areas, after they get, really beat up, you're going to end up with a very 1984-like police state where you're going to see cameras on the corners and checkpoints and, all sorts of controls that they would love to, introduce if given the right scenario. So I think that's one, future that I see, coming down the road for most of America. And that's for people who, can't get ahead of the curve, that are stuck in this mentality. They'll actually welcome a police state. They welcome a welfare state now. They welcome a warfare state now. They welcome that. And to me, that's that urban area. But the rest of the country, I think... Go ahead.
Well, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I kind of see the groundwork for that happening already. I've seen city after city cut back on police and fire, and I keep saying to myself, well, that's the number one role for a city to do. Why would you cut the police and still keep the park department? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, if there is a crash, then the people will actually welcome and beg for some sort of federalized implementation of law enforcement.
Because please help us, because we can't provide for ourselves.
Exactly.
The thing that I am most excited about is the people who can get ahead of this curve, who do have, real ideas about what's going on, are moving out to the country. I moved from probably the 5th most affluent town in the country, Summit, New Jersey, where we had our business. Out of that, I walked away from it, and now I'm living in cornfields out in, Cleveland, Ohio area. And yet, I think the majority of this country is going to, one, be free of the debt that's enslaved them for so long, that I believe that we are going to have a hyperinflationary depression, and that people are going to that live, in the kind of boring parts of the country are actually going to respond well to this. Yeah, they're going to go through anger. Yeah, they're going to, go through the depression. But I think at some point, some communities, states, counties, local governments, things are actually going to go and embrace the Constitution and honest money and say, hey, the dollar's dead, but you know what? Come to us. We love gold and silver. You're already seeing 11 states that are trying to have gold and silver as legal tender. That's going to become more popular in more areas. And I believe that we're going to see pockets of this country that are going to say, boom, the dollar paradigm's over. Well, come on in, guys, because you know what? We got low taxes, low government. We love gold and silver. We'll treat you as, sovereign citizens. Come to us. And I think that you're going to see pockets of this country that are going to bloom right afterwards because they're going to be attracting the best and brightest, just like how America used to be. We used to be this, awesome shining city on the hill, where all the world would come to us because we were the place where if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, and all that other stuff. And I think that we're going to see a smaller version. You're going to see a massive decentralization of power. That's another main theme that I see going forward. We've had this centralization of power for the past 150, 60 years. But when this dollar collapses, the elite will no longer be able to have everything centralized, and that people will no longer believe centralized power because they'll be shown to be completely ineffective. And actually, those people who would let us down this road are actually, I believe, going to be running for their lives as things go bad. So you're going to see this massive decentralization of power. People who will start to, start using either gold and silver as barter. Food is going to be much more important. Farmers, I think, are going to be. This is another great theory, another great thing. So, and I'm sorry to talk so fast, but I feel like I got so much on my mind. I know these breaks go by so fast. Just as much as paper wealth is not going to be valued and real tangible wealth is, like gold and silver, the same thing that humanity is going to value jobs and, skills. So in this paradigm, those that benefit the most off of it provide absolutely nothing of real value to the society. They're the lobbyists, they're the marketers, they're the politicians, the Wall Street brokers, hairstyle, all these really things. These are the most highest paid people, the actors, the sports people. Those are the ones that are benefiting the most off of this debt paradigm. And yet in this paradigm, the people who actually do stuff that are real value are not valued at all. The electrician, the engineer, the farmer, people who actually do something to provide real value. And in this paradigm, they're not valued at all. But I tell you what, when this dollar collapses, you're going to see masses of humanity start to value the farmer, the electrician, the mechanic, the guys who can fix and do things. They are going to be the new rock stars. They are going to be the new celebrities in their areas, and they are going to be the ones with the skills that they're going to benefit the most off of. So when I suggest to people, get your wealth out of this paradigm and get it ready for the next paradigm. Get ahead of the curve. Same goes with your job, because most of us had jobs that are just not going to be around anymore. I mean, I was a car dealer. I was an internet, operations manager. Those jobs aren't going to exist anymore. And people who can do real things will become more valuable. So start doing things now that can help people, that provide real value to people. Even if it's, doing what me and you were doing. Education is going to be more valuable because all of humanity is going to want to wake up and understand what had happened.
And I think you're going to see a real rise of real entrepreneurship, real free enterprise again, because a lot of people right now continue to blame capitalism. Oh, look, it's capitalism. That's what did this to us. And in reality, it's the lack of capitalism which did it to us. It's this social communistic, what I call ComCap, where they give the appearance of capitalism, but in reality it's just communistic. And I think we'll see a real rise of real entrepreneurs again.
For anybody to start a business.
Exactly.